Hello and welcome to Vacation, more like staycation after hearing about these places. The show where we explore those states that even the most enthusiastic Chamber of Commerce representative would struggle to describe as uplifting. Now, we're not saying these states are entirely without merit, but let's just say they consistently rank high in categories like most likely to make you question your life choices and low in things like number of sunny days and availability of decent bagels. So buckle up, dear viewers, as we delve into the depths of these less than enchanting locations, if only to make you feel slightly better about wherever it is you currently reside. Mississippi, the hospitality state, known for its rich history, soulful music, and, well, that's about it. But let's dig a little deeper, shall we? This state, often overlooked and underestimated, has layers that many might not see at first glance. Look, I'm sure there are lovely people in Mississippi, genuinely kind souls who enjoy long walks on the beach and... Wait, does Mississippi even have beaches? Yes, it does. The Gulf Coast offers some beautiful sandy stretches, perfect for a sunset stroll or a family picnic. The locals, with their warm smiles and welcoming nature, make you feel right at home. Regardless, Mississippi consistently finds itself at the bottom of pretty much every list that matters. Education, not great. Healthcare, could be better. The schools, often underfunded, struggle to provide the quality education that every child deserves. Hospitals, while staffed with dedicated professionals, are often stretched thin, trying to serve a population with significant health challenges. Economy? Don't even get me started. The once bustling main streets now echo with the silence of closed shops and empty storefronts. Small businesses, the backbone of any community, find it hard to survive in such a challenging economic environment. The job market is tough, with many residents having to move out of state to find better opportunities. It's like the state collectively decided to embrace a perpetual state of melancholy, and honestly, who can blame them? When your claim to fame is being the birthplace of the blues, you know you're not exactly starting from a position of strength. The blues, with its deep, soulful melodies, tells the story of hardship and heartache, a reflection of the struggles faced by many Mississippians. When your claim to fame is being the birthplace of the blues, you know you're not exactly starting from a position of strength, but there's a certain beauty in that melancholy, a raw, unfiltered expression of the human experience that resonates deeply with anyone who listens. Now, I understand that economic hardship doesn't necessarily equate to a depressing populace. In fact, many Mississippians find strength and resilience in their communities. They come together in times of need, supporting one another through thick and thin. Community gatherings, church events, and local festivals are a testament to the enduring spirit of the people here. But it's hard to maintain a sunny disposition when you're constantly struggling to make ends meet. The roads are riddled with potholes the size of small cars, and your state government seems more interested in legislating morality than actually improving the lives of its citizens. Protests and rallies are not uncommon, as people voice their frustrations and demand change. It's enough to make even the most optimistic individual reach for a bottle of, well, let's just say Mississippi also has a complicated relationship with alcohol. Bars and liquor stores are a common sight, offering a temporary escape from the daily grind. But even in these places, there's a sense of camaraderie, a shared understanding of the struggles faced by many. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom in the Magnolia State. The natural beauty of Mississippi is something to behold. From the rolling hills to the lush forests, there's a serene, almost timeless quality to the landscape. Parks and outdoor events provide a much-needed respite, a chance to reconnect with nature and each other. They do have some pretty impressive catfish, and I'm told the humidity builds character, or wrinkles. The local cuisine, with its rich flavors and hearty portions, is a source of pride for many Mississippians. Catfish in particular is a beloved dish, often enjoyed at family gatherings and community events, definitely one of those two. And while the humidity can be oppressive, it also creates a unique environment that shapes the character of the people who live here. The elderly, with their weathered faces and wise eyes, tell stories of a life lived with resilience and grace. In the end, Mississippi is a place of contrasts, where dreams may get the blues, but hope and determination continue to shine through. Next up, we venture into the heartland of America, to a state that's flatter than a pancake. Indiana, a place where the horizon stretches out endlessly, and the landscape is dominated by vast cornfields and flat rural expanses. It's a state that at first glance might seem unremarkable, but there's more to it than meets the eye. And about as exciting as watching paint dry Indiana. But don't let that initial impression fool you. Beneath the surface, there's a unique charm and a slower pace of life that can be both a blessing and a curse. The small towns, with their deserted main streets and empty back roads, tell a story of a simpler time, a time when life moved at a more leisurely pace. Now, I know what you're thinking, but John, Indiana has the Indy 500, surely that counts for something. And you're right, the Indy 500 is a spectacle like no other, drawing crowds from all over the world to witness the thrill of high-speed racing. For those few hours, Indiana becomes the epicenter of excitement and adrenaline, and yes, fine, for those 2 minutes a year when cars are whizzing around a track at breakneck speeds, Indiana does briefly become the center of the sporting universe. The roar of the engines, the cheers of the crowd, and the sheer speed of the race cars create an atmosphere that's electric and unforgettable. But what about the other 364 days, 23 hours and 58 minutes? The excitement of the Indy 500 fades, and Indiana returns to its usual unhurried pace. The racetracks fall silent, the sports venues empty, and the quiet streets of small towns become the norm once again. Well, let's just say the pace of life slows down considerably. In these moments, you can truly appreciate the beauty of Indiana's rural landscapes and the tranquility of its small towns. It's a place where people take their time, where there's no rush to get from one place to another, and where the simple pleasures of life are cherished. Indiana is a state seemingly stuck in a time warp, where the modern world feels like a distant memory. The traditions and values of the past are still very much alive here, and there's a sense of nostalgia that permeates every corner of the state. Where the height of cultural excitement is a trip to the local Cracker Barrel. These roadside restaurants, with their home-style cooking and rustic charm, are a staple of Indiana life. They offer a taste of comfort and familiarity, a reminder of simpler times. And the most pressing issue facing the community is whether or not to add a stoplight to that one intersection that's been causing fender benders since the Eisenhower administration. It's these small, everyday concerns that define life in Indiana, where the pace is slow and the worries are few. Don't get me wrong, there's a certain charm to that kind of simplicity, but after a while the lack of stimulation starts to wear on you. The quiet parks, the empty playgrounds, and the people sitting idly on benches all paint a picture of a life that's unhurried and uncomplicated. It's like living in a Norman Rockwell painting, but instead of feeling nostalgic and heartwarming, it just makes you want to scream into the abyss. The picturesque town squares and vintage-style streets can feel suffocating after a while, as if you're trapped in a time capsule that you can't escape from. And speaking of the abyss, have you ever driven through rural Indiana at night? The darkness envelops you, and the familiar landscapes take on an eerie, almost otherworldly quality. It's like the entire state transforms into a black hole of despair, punctuated only by the occasional flickering porch light and the distant hum of cicadas. The stillness of the night is both peaceful and unsettling, a reminder of the isolation that comes with living in such a remote place. You could drive for hours without seeing another living soul, which, depending on your perspective, is either incredibly peaceful or utterly terrifying. The long empty roads stretch out before you, and the only company you have is the occasional pair of distant headlights. It's a journey that can make you feel both connected to the vastness of the world and profoundly alone. Look, I realize that some of you might be from these states and you might even love them. Maybe you grew up there, and the place holds a special spot in your heart. The memories of your childhood, the familiar faces, and the local traditions might be something you cherish deeply. And that's great. More power to you. It's wonderful to have a place that feels like home, where you know the ins and outs, and where you can find comfort in the familiar. Everyone's entitled to their own definition of happiness, even if that definition involves a distinct lack of sunshine and an abundance of deep-fried food. Maybe it's the local cuisine that keeps you there, or the sense of community that you can't find anywhere else. But for those of you who are fortunate enough to live elsewhere, take a moment to appreciate the little things, the small joys that might go unnoticed in the hustle and bustle of daily life. The sound of traffic that isn't just tractors, the hum of a city that never sleeps, and the convenience of having everything you need within a short distance. The ability to walk down the street without being swarmed by mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds, the luxury of enjoying a peaceful evening stroll without constantly swatting away bugs. And the knowledge that, no matter how bad things get, at least you don't live in a place where the weather is perpetually gloomy, or where the local attractions include the world's largest ball of twine. Well, you get the idea, it's all about perspective. Sometimes finding the silver lining means appreciating what you have, even if it's just a pale gray one. Until next time, try to stay positive and remember, it could always be worse. Life has a funny way of surprising us, and sometimes those surprises are what make it all worthwhile. You could be watching this from a parking lot in Gary, Indiana. And if you are, well, here's hoping you find your own silver lining, no matter how faint it might be.